Joined here today by the one and only Dan Hooker, and it's been a while, but of course we're going to see him fight at UFC San Antonio against James Vick. What's up, man? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Just in New Zealand, training hard.
Yeah, man, like you mentioned, you're in New Zealand. Looks like it's sunny. How's the weather right now?
Well, we're going into winter. It's winter at the moment, so
Oh, yeah.
it's getting quite cold. But we got a bit of a good day going on today. So, yeah, I was just getting some yard work done.
For sure, man. How are the winters in New Zealand? Is it very, very cold, or is it normal? What's it like over there?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Gets a bit cold, but where I am in Auckland, it doesn't really snow or anything crazy like that. Down in the South Island, those boys get a bit harder weather down there.
For sure, man. Before we get into the fight stuff, last time I talked to you, you had so much stuff going on outside the cage. I believe you had a baby on the way. You just started a new gym and stuff like that. What's the update, man? What's been going on in the life of Dan Hooker?
Yeah, it's just been business as usual, man. Daughter's crawling around, 7 months old now. Gym's going strong. We just had our 1 year anniversary. Training's going good at CKB with Huge in the team. So, yeah, I think it's just up and up.
For sure, man. You mentioned your daughter. Is this your first child?
Yeah. So she was 3 weeks old for my last fight.
Yeah, I remember I talked to you before that fight, and you were like, "Yeah, I have a baby on the way." So, how crazy was it, having a baby so close to your fight?
Yeah, it's like anything that happens to you kind of leading into a fight, you just kind of have to block it out and focus on the task at hand. Things are just different. It's just different now. Like I remember, interviews leading into the fight, people asking me, is this, a massive change, like in mindset and things like that? And I was saying at the time that it wasn't that big of a difference, but I feel like it just hadn't sunk in yet. If you ask me it now, seeing my daughter and having that is just a huge motivation. And I have to do it. I feel like it's something I have to do now.
So, what's your life now with your daughter? Have you had to change a lot of things? I mean, even with training and things like that, or have you been able to find a balance?
No, I'm lucky enough that I have an amazing wife, and she takes care of that side of things. I'm there for the fun and games and playing and mucking around.
Yeah.
But she does a majority of the hard graft.
For sure, man. And you also have your gym. You mentioned it's been up for a year. This gym, I believe it's for you bring in like students so they can learn martial arts. Not really like a gym for, I guess you can say, UFC fighters.
It's just building it from the ground up. It's not like UFC fighters are made overnight. I'm sure if you give me 5 or 10 years, I'll have a few coming out. But just building it from the ground up, building it from the beginner level, seeing the guys grow and develop and get matched for fights and developing their careers and just helping them out from all my experience. Yeah.
For sure. And do you do some training there yourself, or are you training specifically with Eugene and all them?
Yeah, so all my fight camp stuff is at CKB with Huge and the team there. When I can, like outside of camp, I've got some pretty good coaches at my team, and so if I can spare some time and jump into their classes and do their classes, I always pick up things and learn things and develop my game. So yeah, I guess out of camp, bit of both. I'll play around everywhere, but in camp, yeah, I have to focus on my fight and my training, and yeah, that's all done at CKB.
And one more thing, I believe you added another job. I think I saw it on Submission Radio Australia. But are you a real estate agent now?
No, well, I had a bit of time. I knew I'd have a bit of time for my last fight and this fight. So I just went and did the qualification just for a bit of fun. Let's just say that.
For a bit of fun, is this something that are you actually going to be selling houses while you're doing your career? Or is this just sort of you have this in the background if you ever need it?
Yeah, I guess it's just in the background. I like to keep my options open as much as possible. yeah, I don't like. I guess that's why I live this lifestyle. Is I don't really like having things set in stone too much. Makes me a bit antsy. So I like to have options and a range of things I could do.
And let's talk about this upcoming fight. Obviously, James Vick's a big opponent, but literally also he's 6'3". But what was your reaction when they came to you and told you James Vick was next?
Yeah, I had a hunch. They seem to give me the guys that no one really wants to fight. So I had a hunch that the James Vick name would show up. So it's an exciting fight. It's a guy that puts me, right back in the mix. It's not a just a build up fight or just I'll get this one, get back on track. Like this is puts me right back in the mix.
Now you mentioned it taking you back in the mix. Were you kind of afraid after your last fight they would sort of give you a build-up fight, or were you confident that you'd get a contender when you came back?
Oh, I don't put that much thought into it. I just was going to smash the next guy that was in front of me, and that's just all I'm focused on. I didn't care. I didn't care who it was, to be honest. I come here to fight the best guys in the world, and that's all I want to do.
And this guy James Vick, he's incredibly tall, one of the tallest in the division. You're used to being usually a lot taller than your opponents, but how is it for you in your preparation now, getting ready for a guy who's going to be a lot taller than you?
Yeah, it's an exciting challenge. It's an interesting challenge. I always brings out the best of me when I face a new challenge or an interesting challenge. So it's an exciting fight. Someone that's never, I've fought a lot of different weight classes, and this is still the tallest guy I've ever fought. So I don't even know how he makes the weight, to be honest.
I mean, you said you fought at other weight classes. We saw you at featherweight, but I don't think you would have faced anyone that tall all the way down there at featherweight.
Nah, well, I fought in different weight classes here in New Zealand. I fought up at I fought heavyweight, and then even they weren't that tall.
Whoa, well, you said you fought heavyweight. How much did you weigh in for those fights?
I fought heavyweight. I didn't fight myself heavyweight.
Okay.
I think I was like 100 and I don't know in pounds. I'm doing the conversions.
Just say it in kilograms, man. I'm in Europe, so we'll take it.
Yeah, I was like 80, 84, 85 kilos.
Oh yeah.
and then the other guy was like 130.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Well, what was that fight difficult for you? I mean, did you notice the difference in strength and power with that much weight?
Yeah, it's way different. You just get hit with like glancing shots, and you can feel like a lot of weight behind them. Like you don't want to get hit with too many of those. Or a lot of times, like I'll get hit with shots, and I can kind of just keep walking forward and wade through. But I got like you get hit, and you just get stopped in your tracks. So just something I had to do.
Yeah, for sure, man. And now this fight, good thing it's taking place at 155. But we were fighting in San Antonio, Texas. Was this a place that you were familiar with at all before they gave you the location?
No, I had no idea what it was. Yeah, they were telling me I should have been on the Canada card the week after, but he said if you can go a week earlier, I'll get you James Vick, a ranked opponent. So I jumped at the chance, and I hate the snow. So
Yeah.
Texas, I hear Texas is warm. I hear Canada is cold.
Yeah.
I'll take Texas.
Oh man, if it's as hot in Texas as it is here right now in France, you're definitely not gonna have to worry about the cold, man. It is it is incredibly hot. But have you ever been to Texas before? I mean, where have you been exactly in the United States?
Yeah, I fought Yaya in Houston. So I've been to
Yeah.
Texas before. I think we fly in to Houston and then catch another flight out to San Antonio. But yeah, fought Milwaukee, Vegas a few times, Atlantic City. Trained in Denver, so pretty familiar with the US there.
I know your training partner Israel. He likes to, when he goes to the United States, he sort of stays for a couple weeks, does a couple tours. Are you interested in doing that at all, or is it just you fight and then right back home?
First flight out of there. Get me out of there. Nah, I'm a family man here in New Zealand, so and I just want to get back to my family, back to my wife. Um, he's a single boy. He likes his downtime, so he likes to stay and party for a couple of weeks. But yeah,
Not,
we're not the same in all aspects.
yeah. Not Dan the family man. For sure, man. So, I mean, we talked about Israel. I have to ask you about this because you are his training partner. But did you watch that Kelvin Gastelum fight? Did you watch it live?
Yeah, definitely. I watched it. Yeah, back here in. Yeah, I watched it back here in New Zealand. Um, Crazy fight, crazy fight.
I assume you had a bunch of the guys that you all train together. Did you all come to watch it, or were you just kind of sitting at home by yourself?
We got together at a local bar with all the boys from the gym,
Yeah.
and we watched it together. Edge of our seats, but I was pretty confident throughout the fight that he was going to take it.
Yeah. What was the reaction when he came back home with the belts and everything when he first got back in the gym?
Yeah, it's weird. Like it wasn't that big, that like massive of a shift in terms that it's not something that we don't expect of ourselves, like that kind of thing. And world titles, it wasn't a huge shock or disbelief moment. I feel like it's just it's more the start of something than like the final achievement.
For sure. So I assume when he got back in the gym, it was right back to normal. Everybody just jumping back on each other normally. Nothing different.
Yeah. When I see him at the gym, uh, we'll wait till he gets his fight announced, and then I might see him more often.
For sure. So his fight announced. Wink, wink. It's probably going to be Robert Whitaker, right, in Australia on that big card.
Yeah. Oh, from what I'm hearing, they don't tell me much. I got a big mouth, and I'm not a great liar. So I hear it's. I think like everyone heard, it's October 6th in Melbourne is what everyone's saying.
And I believe your fight is in July. What are the chances we see you fighting on that Australia card?
Yeah, we'll have to see how this. I don't count my chickens.
Yeah.
Had some quick wins, had some hard wins, had some hard losses. So it's I'm too experienced at the highs and lows of this to hedge my bets on jumping on that card.
All right, for sure, man. I do want to talk to you a little bit about your last fight. Obviously, it was a fight where it had a lot of people talking just with your toughness and whether the fight should have been stopped. I mean, how do you sort of look back at that fight?
Oh, it's just how things go, man. It's just fighting. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Pick yourself back up, get back to training, get back on the horse. It's that's not my first ass whooping. I've had a few of those in the past. It's just less people were looking, I guess. Man, it's part of the lifestyle, man. You want to hand it out, you want to dish it out. You got to be willing to take it.
And how was the recovery from that fight? Because it looked like just from your legs and your body, it looked like you took a lot of damage in that one.
Nah, not too much. Come back to New Zealand. Had some beers, had a steak. It was good to go.
I assume, that helps for sure, man. One thing I do want to talk to you about that fight, though, is that people were talking about whether your corner should have stopped it. And, everybody was asked that question except for you, I feel like. Nobody really got your input. Well, what do you think was the correct decision? Should it have been stopped, or is it, leave it because you never know what can happen?
Who was in my corner is Carl, and he's been there my entire professional career. He's been in a lot of fights with me. We've been in a lot of wars together. So he knew what I'm capable of. He knew that a single mistake and I can change the fight. And he's seen it before. He's seen me in situations similar before, and I've turned fights very quickly. So he let me do me. He let me go out there, and there was enough trust between us that he let me prove it to myself. It's not about everyone else. It's not about the rest of the world. It's not about anyone else's opinion. It's about me and proving something to myself. That's all it is.
And just one last thing on this: if they had stopped the fight, is that something where you'd be upset because you felt like maybe you weren't able to go all the way through with it, or is it kind of something that you accept because you're like, you know what, it's my coaches?
It's the nature of the sport. It's the nature of it's how things go. We're fighters, man. We want to get in there and fight and fight tooth and nail from bell to bell. That's who I am as a fighter. That's what it's all about. You can't change anything, and going back, I wouldn't change anything. I've taken a lot of lessons from that, and grown as a fighter, grown as a human, grown stronger mentally, and the lessons I learned from that will only help me to improve as a fighter.
All right, and then let's talk a little bit more about this James Vick fight. What kind of fight are you expecting in this one? Are you expecting a war? Are you expecting a barn burner? Is it just whatever happens, happens?
Yeah, I'm expecting a barn burner, man. I'm expecting a war. He's a tough guy. He's been in a lot of barn burners. He's been in a lot of wars. So to go in there and expect anything less would be pretty foolish. I think it's going to be a tough fight.
All right, now I have just one more for you. How do you see this fight playing out? I assume you see yourself getting the victory, of course, but how do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I'm not too sure how where the fight takes place. I'll hedge my bets on a bit of a striking matchup. We're gonna get in there. We're gonna swing. We're gonna bite down, and let the man who wants it more win.
All right, well, I know everybody's looking forward to it. It's going to be a great fight. Thank you so much for the time, Dan. I really appreciate it, and have a good training session.
Cheers, bro. Thank you.